Our next speaker is the co-owner of a business coaching firm here in South Florida, working with business owners and their teams to grow their businesses, make more money, and free up their time. She believes that when people have their needs met, the next most natural thing for human beings is to make a difference in their communities. She's a self-proclaimed social and civic advocate and contributes both time and money to causes close to her heart. She recently launched a social media website and community summit, both titled, "What Will It Take to End Hunger?" Please welcome Jody Johnson to the podium for a ninth speech from the manual titled, "What You May Not Know About Where You Live." Jody.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, fellow guests, Toastmasters. In the theme of Know Where You Live, I want to talk with you today about something that you may not know about where you live, and that is the rampant amount of local, national, and international hunger and food insecurity that people live with day in and day out. Now, I want to make a distinction between hunger and being hungry. I don't know about you, but I can tell you that when I'm hungry, it becomes my sole controlling thought. And it will usually be solved within a few hours. That's hungry, and then I'll be satisfied. Hunger, on the other hand, is a condition. And it's defined as, with food insecurity, not knowing where your next meal will come from. In South Florida, we have 1 million people, just shy of 1 million people a day that live with food insecurity in our community. 1 in 4 children will go to bed tonight in our community hungry, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. 1 in 4. Now I ask you, how can that be? How can that be with the opulence around us? How can that be? I'll tell you, I didn't know. I lived here my whole life. I was born and raised in Miami, and I'm aware that there's poverty and hunger in Miami. I know some of the organizations that have been dealing with hunger and poverty in Miami. My parents were social and civic activists. We worked in soup kitchens. We volunteered at Noah's House. We know that it's here. But I had no idea the depth of what's going on in our community until I entered a speech contest with Toastmasters earlier this year in February. And I wrote a talk about what will it take to end hunger. And then I started studying. And what I found broke my heart. And I will tell you, there's a lot of organizations working on hunger in Miami right now. There's a lot of organizations working on hunger in the United States, and there's a number of organizations working on it worldwide. It's the UN's #1 initiative. It's the World Future Council's #2 initiative behind poverty. I mean, there's a lot of good minds, energy, and money going into this, but we still are dealing with it. When I wrote that talk earlier this year, I quoted Mother Teresa saying, "In the richest country in the world, you can't solve this." That was 40 years ago. 25 years ago, Henry Kissinger said, "We'll solve hunger worldwide in the next decade if we have the resources for it." And we do. There's still hungry people in the world, as you know. Obama and 180 other country leaders promised to have starvation in the world by 2015. That's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, 4 million additional people have been added to the list. So it's not a matter of that there aren't people working on it. There are. But in my studies, I have found 3 things that I assert are at the heart of why it's not solved yet. One of them is, I suspect there's a lack of the coordination of efforts. That each of the different individual agencies and organizations that are working on this are operating more in silos than they are collaboratively. The second thing is in policy. In the United States alone, we have 8 years from a significant percentage of farmers being subsidized to big business farms taking over what they call food aid. So the shift has gone from agricultural development for the small farmers in rural areas to be self-reliant to big business being incentivized with production, packaging, and shipping. So our policies are somewhat flawed around how do we end it, because we've taught people to make a fish rather than to teach them how to fish. We've gone away from self-reliance. One of the ways that they know worldwide does work. The third thing is mindset. There's a particular mindset both on the victim side of shame and stigma and on the other side of they're needy and they're demonized because they need in our community, so we're looking down on and see them as anchors or drags on the economy. I want you to know that for every $5 in the food stamps that we invest, it has a $9 economic impact. So our thinking about it is flawed. In addition, in Belo Horizonte, where they ended hunger in Brazil 15 years ago, they see food as a right of citizenship versus something that's a charitable donation. So I assert that we as a community have to take a look at what can we do to shift the mindset? What can we do to shape policy that actually works? How can we collaborate together? Because every child that starves to death is a failure of civilization, and it happens 30,000 times a day. So I invite you to participate in this conversation of what will it take to end hunger. Visit the website, www.whatwillittaketoendhunger.com, or come to the summit on September 13th and engage as a community in what will it take to end hunger once and for all, right here, right now.